Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS slate breakdown for May 19th, Monday. We're back. We got a nice size Monday slate and we're going to dive straight into it. Also, contests are a little bit bigger now. There's no NBA on tonight's slate as well, so let's really dive in and see if we can get one of those big prize pools and take it down. Now, I'm your host, Tyler Wiemann. Come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month. Get you access to all we do, the props, the DFS, so you get it all one low price. Now, let's dive in. As always, we're going to start off by the perfect lineups from yesterday and the winning lineups on both sites, and then we will followed up with some pitchers to consider for today and some stacks. On DraftKings, the two pitchers you wanted, Paul Skeens and Mick Abel, just went absolutely nuts. 6 innings, 84 pitches, no earned runs, 9 Ks. What a debut for him. He definitely showed up. Paul Skeens did Paul Skeens things, and then we had a two-man Washington stack as they went nuts. One-man Atlanta, which is interesting because they did score, double-digit runs there, and only one guy shows up, and then Benson just continues his tear that he's on. The winning lineup goes to Team DJ 0223, who had Liberatore, had Valdez, two very fine pitching options. Just didn't have the upside as the other two, but apparently you didn't need them if you stacked the two teams that went for 10 runs. So we had a 4-man Atlanta stack, 2-man or 3-man Washington, and a one-off of Benson, which got it done. They won by 7, so won by a pretty large margin there. And now let's dive into the perfect lineup on FanDuel. What we had over there, we had Mick. We had a 2-man Miami stack, a 2-man Washington, and then some one-offs. Didn't use near the salary. 323.4 was the perfect lineup. No winning lineup went to Ayo, the songwriter, who won 10K. Congrats to you. They had Paul Skeens. They had a 3-man Washington stack, a 4-man Atlanta, and then the old Will Benson one-off, and they won by actually a pretty large margin. They won by 16. Well, huge win for them. Congrats to Ayo. Now let's dive in and see what we can uncover for the slate today with our pitchers. All right, Sonny Gray, 30% owned, one of the highest owned pitchers. There is some weather to watch in this spot. It looks like the game starts dry, but later in the game, some weather is to move in. So just make sure you look at that come to start time. But 30% owned, Sonny Gray, 9K. He hasn't been great this season. 4.5 ERA on the season. We got a 4.14 FIP over his last 20, 4.56 over the last 5. K rate is 28% over the last 20 and 23% over the last 5. Now, the StatCast data is a little scary. Allowing too many barrel balls, allowing 34% hard contact, decent amount of line drives, decent amount of fly balls, not enough grounders, and the team splits heavily favor Detroit in this spot. Now, the BVP data heavily favors Sonny Gray. So, a lot of differing data here. The wind is blowing in at least, which greatly will help Sonny Gray. But we also do have the worry about, a possible in-game delay later in the game, which could cut him short. A lot to go into this and consider, especially as he is the high-owned pitcher right now. Next, we got Robbie Ray, 10K. 18.75 point projection. Consensus is right around Sonny Gray, 24% owned. And it's versus the Royals. 2.46 FIP over his last 5 with a 27% K rate. He has been dealing. Over the last 20, it's 4.65. But remember, the last 20 is a little scary to really trust because some of that data is from 2022. where he got hurt and just, wasn't that great. And then he had a shortened 2024, shortened 2023, and now he's finally back and dealing. And the splits aren't all that bad. 20% K rate, WOBA's sub 300, average is up there a little bit, ISO's low, so they're not hitting lefties hard. However, he is averaging 27% less fantasy points while home. Now, home is a pitcher-friendly park for him, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Opponent BVP is low, but not enough sample size. Combined K rate, almost 24%. I'm absolutely fine going with some Robbie Ray. Would much rather him than Sonny Gray in my lineups. Next, we got Christopher Sanchez, 8K, 23% owned, but in Colorado. This is an interesting spot. And I think it is actually a pitcher spot we need to dive into a little bit here with it being a Colorado game. One, Phillies are huge favorites, but we do have a 10-run game total. Colorado, absolutely awful versus lefties. 209 average, 145 ISO, 287 WOBA, striking out at 26%. Now, Sanchez has had great pitch StatCast data. His 3.64 FIP over the last 20 is very good. 24.6% K rate, again, very good. Over the last 5, 3.38 FIP, 30% K rate. He has been absolutely dealing this season, and he really looks very, very good. Opponent BVP, it's not great. Not bad. 243 average, 260 ISO, 2 home runs. So they have got to him a little bit. I faced him once this year, and I would actually say he got the better of them. 5.1 innings, 1 earned run, 7 Ks. I would take that, especially at 8K. He's only pitched in Colorado once. It went okay. The strikeouts just weren't there, but his strikeout rate has came up dramatically this year, so maybe they will be there this time, and this team is striking out a ton versus lefties. The wind is also blowing in Coors, which is going to help the ball stay in the ballpark. Now, the thing with Coors is it doesn't actually give, a ton of extra home run pop. It's just such a big field that there's more runs because the ball drops into the field a lot more. So the wind blowing in doesn't cause as big of a difference in this stadium as some others, as it's just hard to hit a home run there, to begin with. I think this is a very interesting spot. I don't mind some Christopher Sanchez. I rarely will talk about a pitcher in Coors, but another aspect is he's been way worse away. 38.8 fantasy points less when he is away. He has had 1 solid start when he's been away. 6 innings, 0 earned runs, 5 Ks in hitter-friendly Tampa Bay. Got blown up. Well, not even blown up. Just went 2 innings, 2 earned runs, 2 Ks versus the Mets. 6.1, 1 earned run, 3 Ks versus St. Louis. So it does appear maybe his K rate is a little lower when he's away. But all in all, I'm fine taking a risk and going with a little Christopher Sanchez. 28% combined K rate at 8K is super interesting to me. Next, Bailey Ober, 8.2K, 2300. 23% owned. This is a game, this Cleveland versus Minnesota, where weather looks horrific. This one could get postponed. Make sure you watch it coming into Slate Lock a little later in the day, as we're going to have more info here. Now, Ober's been dealing lately, so I'm fine with taking some if he's going. Little bit of limited upside, but he's only 8.2K. The ceiling's there at that price. I'm fine going some. Chris Bubick, 9,700 versus the Giants. Chris Bubick has absolutely been dealing, and there's been a solid ceiling. I am fine going here. 2.89 FIP over the last 20. 2.72 over the last 5. 25% K rate. Allowing too many fly balls, but I mean, it's fine. He's a fly ball pitcher. Some pitchers get fly balls, some get ground balls. He gets fly balls as long as they're not hit well. There's nothing to worry about there, and he has 21% soft contact, only 6 barrel balls and 81 batted balls. So that profile looks fine. The splits, San Francisco has not been good versus lefties. So very interesting here. We have in the short term, they're striking out at almost 26%. And the WOBA ISO numbers all look pretty low. BVP-wise, they've got the best of them, but it's only 21 plate attempts, so throw that out the window. 23.9 combined K rate. I am fine going Bubic. I like him, and definitely like him at a little bit lower ownership. Luis Castillo, 9.5 K versus the White Sox. It is versus the White Sox, so you have to consider. But he has been dramatically worse away. 57.4% less fantasy points when away. He has had, 4 starts this year or 5 starts this year where it would have killed your lineup. 3 of them were away. 2 of them were at home. The 2 of them that were at home, one was against Toronto, one was against the A's. Toronto also got to him on the road, and Cincinnati got to him on the road. Outside of that, he's had decent starts, but his upside has severely lacked this year. He is only at 7 Ks per 9, 21% K rate over the last 20, 17% K rate over the last 5. At least the White Sox strike out at a decent clip, so maybe that upside is still there. But at 9,500, the upside in this spot is severely lacking. However, it's a high floor spot too. So I don't mind having some Castillo, but I'm definitely not going to go overboard him with a lack of upside, even though he is against the White Sox. Now let's talk some pivots. Jose Soriano, 7,300 versus the A's. Now, great hitting weather in Sacramento today, so I don't love that aspect, but Soriano, 3.65 FIP over the last 20, 3.5 over the last 5. Limited strikeout upside in this spot, but he has been very, very good. And at 7,300, I don't mind a little bit. Can he get us over 20? Absolutely. And that's the interesting spot. And he's facing the A's, who are a little bit boom bust. So I don't mind a little bit. Not going to go overboard on him, though. Logan Allen, this is another game where we do have to worry about the weather. This is that one. Bailey Oberon is on the other side, but wind's blowing in very hard. Minnesota striking out a lot versus lefties. They got a low WOBA, low ISO. Our issue here is the weather. If the weather cooperates, I think Logan Allen is a little interesting. 4.06 FIP over his last 5 starts. Has shown some upside. Has shown some strikeout potential there. And Minnesota can strike out versus lefties, so a little interesting there. Now let's get over to FanDuel to wrap this out real quick. Our high-owned Luis Castillo, 8,700. Look, I like him a little bit more over here on FanDuel because the chance of that quality start bonus is elevated, which does take away, some of the risk of the low upside. As far as low upside in the K department. So a little more interested, but he's not my favorite. Christopher Sanchez, 9.9K in Colorado. Scary to click that in Colorado, but I think there's good reasons to go there. However, my favorites, Bubic, Robbie Ray, both low owned. Ober at 9,400. I'm fine if that game looks decent. Outside of that, I don't totally love anybody else. I think we do need to bring up Brandon Paft. He's a 9K. Absolutely shut out the Dodgers last time. 6.1 innings, 0 earned runs, 6 Ks. Can he do that again in LA this time? I don't know. But it is worth talking about. He has done it before. The last 2 times he faced them, he had very, very good games versus them. So can he do it again? Maybe. Worth mentioning. Now let's move on to some stacks and see what we got. So, starting with our high-owned stacks of the day. We got Philly versus Kyle Freebom in Colorado. Winds are blowing in. Look, if they are going to go 20% owned per guy, I think it might be a little high-owned on this 9-game slate. I don't mind going there, but I'm not going to go overboard here. Highest projected We got Dodgers and versus Brandon Paft. You know the issues there. Paft has shut them out 3 games in a row. Can that keep going? Maybe. It's definitely a tough spot for the Dodgers considering that, but there is also a 10-game over-under on this spot, a 10-game total, or 10-run game total. Arizona also popping up versus Landon Knack. Landon Knack has looked good recently, but he has struggled, over his MLB career. He is still young, though, still putting it together. So maybe that is what we're seeing is he's starting to put it together a little bit. Don't mind a little Arizona. Value side, Angels, 2.6 versus JT Ginn. Absolutely love this spot. Love JT Ginn. Love going against JT Ginn. His ERA looks good, but 4.85 FIP over his last 5. Angels got some bats. They got some power, and it's a great night in Sacramento. Decent wins here. The winds look like they're going across the diamond, but if that comes a little different and it's blowing out at all with the warm weather, this ball should fly. Definitely interested in some Angels. Minnesota versus Logan Allen, don't mind it. KC versus Robbie Ray, don't love it. High ceiling. We got Dodgers, no big surprise there, but also Detroit Tigers versus Sonny Gray is popping up, and Sonny Gray being high owned on DraftKings does make that a little interest for leverage. And speaking of leveraged, we got Detroit, we got Colorado versus Christopher Sanchez. Christopher Sanchez isn't as good away. This game's away and in Colorado. Got to have some interest there as well. San Francisco versus Bubik's popping up. I don't love it, but don't mind it. We didn't talk about Tampa Bay at all. 4.8 run implied run total. Absolutely love the spot for them. I think they should be much higher owned than they are. Let's start at the top here. I didn't realize I had FIP clicked. So Philadelphia, 5.9 implied run total versus Freebomb. They're huge favorites. Freebomb, 41% hard contact. The bullpen's bad. Makes sense to want to go there. But I think you can go elsewhere. Dodgers, 5.4 versus Paft. Paft allowing a lot of hard contact. The bullpen behind him isn't good. We got a game total of 10, or a run total of 10. Very interesting there. The A's, 5.1 versus Soriano. Super interesting there. After Soriano, super bad bullpen. There's obvious interest there, but Soriano's been good. So you got to get to him to really be able to expose that bullpen. Tampa Bay at 4.8 versus Colton Gordon. Absolutely love that spot for them. Arizona at 4.6. Very interested there. Baltimore 4.5 versus Quinn Prester. The bullpen behind Prester is not great. Baltimore, while they haven't really been hitting very well, does interest me a bit, as well as Milwaukee versus Dean Kramer. I really want to bring up the Angels here at 4.4 against JT Ginn and a poor bullpen behind him. Great hitting weather in Sacramento today. Now, we have some game totals here. 10, 9.5, 10, 9, 9. I think some of these higher game totals absolutely have the chance to battle the Colorado game as far as, total runs scored. So I don't think you need Colorado, but I do think that these better hitting environments are absolutely going to show their worth on this slate. I think there's too many good hitting environments to, not focus my bigger stacks on those hitting environments. Tampa Bay, Colorado, Sacramento, Dodgers, all of those, we got warm weather or winds going with us. I like it. And that'll do it for us today. You guys have a good one. Talk to you later. Peace.